I think it is embarrassing to the industry that these advisors will put clients in index funds or ETFs and charge a percentage fee on those assets. I think it's a joke.
Welcome to Upticks with Jake Falcon, founder and CEO of Falcon Wealth Advisors. In this podcast, we help high net worth individuals overcome financial complexities. We do this by enhancing financial literacy and discussing topics in a language free from industry jargon. Join us as we help explain exactly what having a solid financial plan means, as Jake draws from years of experience in helping hundreds of individuals get financially organized and focused on their goals. We hope you find Upticks educational, entertaining, and shareable. Now, on to the show.
Welcome back to Upticks with Jake and Cory. Cory, welcome back to the show.
Jake, thank you for having me back on the show. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, and spring is in the air. Cory, I was out there posting a picture of a beautiful tree. You know what's kind of neat about buying a house in winter?
What's that?
You don't know what's going to spring up in your backyard.
Yes, that is fun, actually. That's very exciting.
When I bought the house, all these trees and plants were in snow or frozen. And now I got this sweet tree, Cory, that has pink leaves on it. Rachel and I have no idea what kind of tree it is, but it's really sweet where I walk into my garage every day. So credit to the previous homeowner to get that going.
That is fun. It's a lot of fun to see new stuff pop up. We've had that, I feel like every year since we've bought our house, just because it's been there for a long time and we've done some stuff. But even this year, after last season, we're like, where exactly are all the hostas at? We'll find out in spring. We'll see when they pop up.
Right. Good. You got anything fun to share before we dive into today's topics?
I'm ready to get going, Jake, if you are.
Let's do it. So, Cory, I wanted to talk about something first before we go into the headlines. So why don't you tee it up for me?
All right, Jake. Yeah, explain the structure of our team at Falcon Wealth Advisors, especially the role of the financial planners, please.
Yeah, so this is very important to me, Cory. There are three things that sets us apart from traditional wealth advisors because you hear the term financial advisor, wealth advisor, investment advisor, investment advisor representative. You hear all these terms in the industry, and I think a lot of people think that all advisors are the same. And I would argue, Cory, that most of them are, right? So, but you and I have really drawn the line in the sand, and we have chosen three things that we believe when you add each one of these on top of each other, that is what truly sets us apart from other advisors in the marketplace. Now, I want to be clear here. I'm not suggesting that we are perfect or we're the best at everything that we do. I'm just saying this is the way we view advice for clients, and this is what we double down on. And number one, Cory, I want to talk about probably the biggest differentiator. I'm going to talk about the planners, but I want to talk about first is that we don't use products at Falcon Wealth Advisors with our clients. Now, if we're advising on a client's 401k and that's all they have available to them, then certainly, we're kind of succumb to that menu of options. But for clients that open an account and that, work with our custodian, Cory, we don't think using an investment product makes sense for a client that is hiring an investment advisor representative to help them with their investments. I think it is embarrassing to the industry that these advisors will put clients in index funds or ETFs and charge a percentage fee on those assets. I think it's a joke. What do you think about that? I can get on my soapbox if you want.
I could get on the soapbox too, Jake, but I think you're exactly right, because what has always thrown me a bit for a loop when we're thinking about this is the fact, particularly as it relates to index funds or ETFs, if someone is paying an advisor a fee to buy ETFs, they are all but assuring that they're going to underperform the benchmark itself, because at best, their investment returns might be what the benchmark is, maybe a little bit less with costs. But if you're paying an advisor, the same goes for outsourcing it to other active managers. From my perspective, I'm the one, Jake, and you're the one, and our team, we are the people that are meeting with clients every 6 months, every 12 months, talking about what's going on in their life, talking about their financial plan, talking about their investments. I can't imagine handing the investment management over to someone else that doesn't know the clients, that doesn't know any of their goals, that doesn't know anything about what we're talking about here today, and trusting that they're just going to invest the money the way that's best. And I don't know, frankly, Jake, in a lot of ways, how much value I would be adding to a client relationship if that's what I was doing in the first place.
I agree wholeheartedly. So yeah, good that we're on a line there. And so for anyone listening, watching Upticks, I just want to know, if you're a client of Falcon Wealth Advisors, you should, be happy that we're not just slapping you in a product. Our team knows every single stock and bond and option or whatever you own in our portfolio, because you know what? We handpicked those for you. And we think that's very important for our clients. So that's number one. Number two, Cory, is that we function as an ensemble, right? And so this has been very critical for our financial planners, because they are typically doing the large majority of reviews for client. And the reality is, Cory, 18 years ago for me, 14 years ago for you, we did it all, right? And now, Samantha, I don't want to discount her. Samantha, who was our third business partner, obviously did 90% of the administrative stuff for us. She opened accounts, did the transfers, and answered the phone, and did all that fun stuff. However, back in the day, Cory, you and I would meet with the clients, we would build out the plans, we would make the trades, we would do the research, and we were kind of an all-in because we were new in the industry. And the reality is, both of us are doing this today because we want to enhance financial literacy and we want to help people. So we had to take a hard look at ourselves and say, do we want to be selfish and only limit ourselves to a certain amount of clients each and keep our team very small? Or do we want to continue on this mission of enhancing clients' lives and help more people? But to do so, we had to realize that we had to surround ourselves with other professionals that were going to pay attention to and take care of clients the way that you and I value the most. And so that's what we've done, Cory, is we've created something called an ensemble practice. And I want our clients to know that it's important that whether you're working with me or Cory, we are still your advisors. So again, first off, you're a client of Falcon Wealth Advisors, but you're also my client or Cory's client, meaning we are overseeing your financial plan and investments from a high level. But what we've done, Cory, is we've built out groups within our team. And so now we have account managers in operations, we have financial planners in planning, and we have investment analysts in investments. And all of these professionals serve as extensions of you and I and Samantha, right? Samantha's mentoring and coaching operations, and you and I are mentoring and coaching investment management. However, we're not going to be available to meet every single client, every single day, every single month, every single year. That's why we're building out a team. And what I think the biggest value to the client is, though, Cory, and what I want our clients to get used to is having multiple sets of eyes and ears in those meetings, because we're all human. And I think it's great to get a fresh perspective on somebody's financial plan and investments, knowing that they still have the same theme, right? We're not using products, right? So we still have the same theme and values with our clients. However, they're going to get a different person checking in on them, which I think is a great value add to our clients. Did I miss anything there?
No, that's great, Jake. I think you did a great job of highlighting and summarizing that. I want to share with you, Jake, real quick, because this is so closely aligned. I've talked about on the show how my wife, Cassie, is pregnant. She's due in June. So we just had an appointment with the doctor at 30 weeks. Thank you very much. And we just had an appointment with the doctor at 30 weeks. And we were asking the doctor, what happens if you're not around the day that the baby's ready to come? She says, look, there's 6 of us in this practice. The closer we get to the due date, you're going to meet other people too. So in the event that happens, literally the day that we've been waiting for 9 months for the baby to come, if she's not around, we know that we're going to be in good hands working with someone else on her team.
Exactly, Cory. Right. So that poor doctor, they can't expect to be on call 24/7 every day. And what's great is they probably, what's that?
At least one of them is. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hopefully one of them is. But you're right. So that's why they have a team. You don't go, like, what if you and Cassie were going to a doctor and they were like, I'm it. I'm the one that's going to deliver your baby no matter what. Wouldn't that make you more nervous?
I'd say, let me see your calendar for the month of June, please, is what I would probably tell them. Yes.
But they deserve to get sick, take vacation, have a life of their own, have a day off, right? So, and again, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to host some pity party. I love what I do. You love what you do. This doesn't work for me. I have a lot of fun what I do. My point is, though, in order to properly serve clients, I think it would be extremely selfish on our part if we didn't reinvest back into our business and hire other professionals to support our clients with us. And that's what we've done. And that's what an ensemble is. And we didn't
Exactly.
invent that. We didn't invent that, right? A lot of firms do it that way. But what makes us, again, what sets us apart at least, is having this no investments.
Yes.
And then we take a team approach. So a clients can expect to meet with multiple people on our team. And then the last piece, Cory, which I think is extremely important and also fun, is that we have a next business day 24-hour response time. Meaning, if a client emails service@falconwealthadvisors.com, they can expect to be heard and replied to by the next business day. And we think that's very important. Cory, a lot of our new clients, that's why they hire us, because their prior firm were unresponsive. And I think that is very important when you're talking about somebody's life savings, when you're talking about their retirement, when you're talking about their nest egg, they deserve to be replied to and responded to. And so we feel once you stack up all three of those, no products, team approach, extremely responsive to our clients, that's what makes Falcon Wealth Advisors Falcon Wealth Advisors. And I wanted to share that with our audience and with our clients just to reaffirm that we are doubling down on that. We continue to hire new professionals. We continue to remain responsive. And we continue to pick and choose our own stocks and bonds for our clients. And we think that is a very neat offering for our clients. And we think that's the best way for us to serve them, in our opinion. All right, good. Enough about that, Cory. Let's get into the headlines for today.
All right, Jake, you get us kicked off here. The new magic number for retirement is 1.46 million. Here's what it tells us.
Yeah, Cory, I wanted to share this. And first off, I want people to understand that this is not advice or a recommendation. This is just what this article was suggesting. The issue is the number keeps rising. And it's not that the number is rising, Cory, it's that it's creating more anxiety than anything else. And I think the need for financial planning and financial literacy is more important than ever. And the reason, Cory, is that for older generations, pension plans and Social Security largely solved the retirement income problem. Now, though, taking care of yourself is more important, and knowing what your number is can be a game changer. When in doubt, Cory, I say have a plan, save more, spend money on things you value, and be willing to adjust your lifestyle if and when things change. So I really wanted to share this article. 1.46 million, that number grows, it feels like every year. It all depends though, right? Some clients need 5 million to retire, some need 500,000. So the key though is to start with that plan. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, this reminds me, Jake, of the conversation we've had about withdrawal rates, people thinking about their portfolio and how much money they pull out of it. The whole idea that any blanket number or any blanket withdrawal rate is going to be appropriate for everyone is really not the point. Those are rules of thumb, but what you really need is the plan. And anyone watching or listening to the show may find that the number that they need might be more than that. It might be less than that. But just know that following any guidelines around any specific just rule of thumb like that shouldn't be anxiety inducing ideally, because whether or not that's the number that's relevant for you depends upon your plan and your circumstances.
Right. And the key is to have, so if you're anxious, if you're listening or watching this and you are worried or nervous about retirement and you don't know how much you need, having a financial plan could and should mitigate some of that nervousness and anxiety. And that's what I'm going with here, Cory. So again, everybody should know their number, or at least a ballpark. And you have to understand it's going to be unique to you and your family. But you know what gets you that number? You know what solves that problem? Having a financial plan. And if you are nervous, saving more money will help. And spending money on things that you value, and cutting the crap out of things, spending on things you don't value. Right? If you're worried about your weight, if you feel like you're a little overweight, then why in the world would you go buy junk food? Right?
Right.
So you value your health. You're a little overweight. When that little Debbie comes up at you in the aisle, skip it. Right? So now, not only did you help encourage your weight or your health, you also save some money. Win-win there. Right. And then also be willing to change. You have to understand that these financial plans are not roadmaps. They're not set in stone. They're going to change as your life changes. They're going to change as the market changes. It just happens. That's life. And the key is updating it and reviewing it at least once a year, if not more often, and making sure that you understand that you may have to change your lifestyle at some point. And that's part of life. That's just the way it is.
Very good.
All right, good. Cory, Here's yours. Time equals money.
Yes, aligned with what we just talked about around investing where it's wisely. Was a blog post from our friend Carl Richards that we've talked about on the show. Real short and brief one, Jake. But the point here was that, of course, money cannot buy you love, but time can. Isn't that interesting?
Oh.
Time is money, spend it wisely. And what I took away from this, and I think what's nicely aligned with what you just highlighted in the article about what somebody needs for retirement, Jake, is that, money can't buy you love is a well-known phrase I think that people are familiar with. But the whole idea is that money can buy you time. We've talked about this on the show, spending your money to ultimately buy you time to spend your time on what's most important, relationships with the people that you love, where your skill sets and talents and treasures are best utilized for what it is that you are bringing into the world. But I really thought that this kind of just made me think, Jake. My takeaway from that was that money can't buy you love, but time can. And time is money. Spend it wisely.
I love it, Cory. You're right. I think the Beatles said it. Can't buy me love.
That's right. I think so.
You probably got that. You got a Beatles record at home?
I do.
All right, there you go. So you're right. I would gladly, and I bet this is even more important to you now, I would gladly spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars if it bought me more time with Rachel, right?
Correct.
Because that's who I love, right?
Yep.
And maybe even Einstein every now and then, my dog.
That's right.
But especially for you, Cory, I can imagine, right? If you can leverage your money, as long as your financial plan works, you're going to do that to spend more time with your wife and soon-to-be daughter, right? So that's cool. I like it. I'm glad you shared it. Makes sense.
Exactly. Thank you. All right, Jake. How long does it take to get a tax refund?
'Tis the season for tax season, Cory. Did you read this article?
I didn't.
What's your guess? Well, this is what the IRS says.
Okay. A month. I'll say a month.
The IRS claims 21 days is how long it takes to get a tax refund if you e-file. And I think 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 1 or 3 weeks longer if you paper file.
Okay.
So this article shared some good tips, Cory, to help yourself get a quicker refund by e-filing. Number one, file early. So don't wait till April 15th. File a correct and complete return. And set proper expectations. If you have more complexity, if you have a bunch of K-1s, 1099s, you have to realize it's going to take the IRS longer to sift through that return. And there's also a place you can go online. Most people probably know about this. I believe it's called Where's My Refund, right? .com, and you can check your status if you're waiting on it. So I thought this was a good article. First off, just from a tax planning perspective, if you get a large refund back, I think we talked about this last week. If you get a large refund back, you probably should go through some tax planning with Falcon Wealth Advisors or your CPA, because ideally you don't want to be getting too much back and you don't want to be having to pay. You want it to kind of break even would be a perfect scenario. However, if you do expect a refund back, you can do yourself some favors to get that money quicker. You have any thoughts on this from your experience?
I think the key there, Jake, is to file a correct and complete return, because I think filing early is something that is a good goal for people, but you want to make sure that you have everything that you need to file a complete return before you file, which I think probably goes without saying. But I think it's a good takeaway, and I think it's helpful for people to understand, at least to set the proper expectations.
Yeah, that's good. All right, perfect. Let's go on to the next one here. Cory, these retirees have a good problem. They aren't spending enough. Cory, we've done this article, haven't we?
I don't think so. I think we've done something very similar.
Yes, I think we have. Go ahead, though. What's your thoughts on it? I think we did this one.
This was just published, so I don't think so. But either way,
okay,
I do think we've done some articles that are very similar.
Maybe this one was in Barron's. Maybe we did one on the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, that could be the case. I think that actually probably checks out and makes sense, because this was pretty recent. Either way.
What's Barron's saying?
The more affluent retirees are, the more likely they are to underspend. And the primary driving behind underspending is uncertainty. Was one takeaway.
Let's take a time out on that one. So isn't that fascinating? What the article is saying is the wealthier people are, the more they spend less or underspend, which is sad, because that also means, what that's telling me is that the less money people have, or the people with less money, tend to overspend.
Correct.
which is sad. But yeah, go ahead. It's a tough one there, but go ahead, keep going.
It is tough. And the primary driver behind underspending, is what was highlighted here, was uncertainty. And the point there was that a lot of people in our country, in the United States, are responding to all of the uncertainty with conservatism, and they are self-insuring by holding on to their assets. So I think the bottom line from this, Jake, was that underspending is likely not going to hurt your financial plan, but it can be a problem nonetheless. So if you worked hard and saved money your whole life, you should enjoy the fruits of your labor, which is why you started saving in the first place. But ultimately, it's your money to spend or not to spend in the way that you choose, and a trusted advisor can help you focus on the big picture.
Yeah, that's good, Cory. And another way we help clients when they are underspending, just thought about this, is that we could also bucket out your money a little bit. Like we could put X amount of dollars literally in its own account and say, okay, this money is going to last you the next 30 years if we make X return. And we can make it a conservative return for you, right? Then we can move money in another bucket and say, all right, this money you don't need for your retirement or for all your goals. And you could spend this on whatever you want. Slush fund, boats, cars, kids, grandkids, dogs, right? Whatever. And maybe that'll help. But you're right. It boils down to the psychology, which is good. I feel for the overspenders. I still do, because you know, I wish the people with less means also underspent, you know, but for some reason there's a different psychology there. So it's fascinating to me. And it's part of why we wake up every morning and come into work and do what we do, because we want to enhance financial literacy. So we want to coach the underspenders on making sure that they're living their fullest lives. And then we also want to coach the overspenders on saying, hey, you may need to cut some things or you're not going to get to live the lifestyle that you're living today. And so it's good just to bring awareness to it. There should be no shame or guilt, no matter which category you're currently in. You just need to bring awareness to it and realize that your friends at Falcon Wealth Advisors are here to help and coach you to get you back on track of where you need to be. Good.
That's really good, Jake. And if we already covered that on a previous show, I think we maybe we brought a different perspective to it today. So
yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's good.
Okay, thank you, Jake. So how age and time horizon impact investor decisions?
All right, Cory. Guess what? Your boy Jake was quoted. I just talked to myself in third person. I was quoted.
I like
should
it.
have done that. I was quoted in a study. They did a study on time horizon, age, and investor impact on their decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, though, Cory, they found that some older investors would be inclined to make a shift during market pullbacks, which makes sense to you and I. I'm not saying it's right, but I have had these conversations with older clients that they get very nervous when we have market pullbacks. And my point here is this is exactly the wrong thing to do. Instead, you want to make sure you have at least, this is a minimum, at least 5 years worth of income covered in cash and bonds, so you don't necessarily have to worry about the day-to-day, month-to-month, or even year-to-year swings in the stock market. Also, if you have a major purchase coming up, maybe you're buying a new home, you have a kid going to college, you're retiring, you want to make sure that your income is aligned with the purchase goal date. So for example, if you're buying a car for $50,000 or whatever, Cory, and you want to pay cash, you could go buy a treasury bond that's going to mature the month that you want to go buy the car or before, for example. Again, this is not advice. So I don't want people going out there taking this as advice. It's a generic example, is that you can line up your investments, certain investments, with your goals. And that's another opportunity. So, but again, the critical component of this article, Cory, is that older people tend to get nervous. And I think it comes from either not having a well thought out financial plan, because we know the market's going to crash. We just don't know when, right? We know that's going to happen. It happens all the time. The market also goes up a lot, right? So we know the market's going to go do this. We know that. So when it happens, my point is people should embrace it and not panic and want to throw out their financial plan out the window. Instead, you could prepare for it and say, okay, if and when the market crashes, I know I'm set up to still maintain my lifestyle. That is the importance of having a financial plan. And a well thought out investment portfolio, leading me back to the beginning of today's show, Cory, of stocks and bonds that we have handpicked for our clients. So we know exactly what they own and why they own it. You have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, just so I'm clear and so I understand the takeaway from this, the idea is the older an investor gets, the more likely they are to do the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Yes, and again, it was a study, chart studies. So it depends on
Sure.
the sample size and everything.
True.
Their argument, I believe, Corey, was that younger investors, actually good for them, were more likely to take on more risk and take advantage of it.
Mm,
They were just saying older investors, they feel like they have a limited time horizon, and so they don't want to lose money, and that's normal, right? That's human behavior, is all they were saying.
right.
But that is why, Corey, our jobs are even more important, is
Yes.
to walk clients off of that ledge and say, whoa, 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 whoa. We've got X amount of dollars in cash and in bonds that, again, isn't necessarily guaranteed, but it's not in this stock market that you're all nervous about. I mean, we even
Yeah,
have clients, Corey, that worry about individual stocks.
Yep.
And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is one stock in a well-diversified, well-thought-out portfolio. You can't get caught up in one stock's performance,
Yep.
right?
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Jake, just real quick, I'll share. I had a meeting yesterday with a prospective client. It was our initial consultation. And one of the concerns basically that they highlighted ahead of the meeting that we talked about yesterday was a concern was the stock market. And they made the comment, which I'm sure you hear too, Jake, which is I'm too old to start over, right? I can't afford to go through a big market crash to start over, whatever it might be. My perspective on it, I think, is aligned with what you're talking about today, Jake, which is let's make sure you're set up so you don't have to worry about starting over. Let's address that. We can do that.
Yes.
We can do that.
Yes. So again, I'm not suggesting that the concern is not valid. What I'm
Yep.
suggesting is taking action based on your short-term emotion is irresponsible and reckless.
Good.
I think that's a good place to end today's episode, Corey.
I think so
That's
too.
really powerful. And it's just important to know that, what we are doing here is saving people from hurting themselves. And, occasionally your mother's sister's dog, they got out before the market crashed. And,
My dog
they
sold at
saved-
the top.
yeah, they
Yeah.
did the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me, if I could do that, or if anybody could do that, they'd be doing it every time.
Yep.
My point is nobody can do that. So instead, let's have a well thought out and updated current financial plan. And then let's make sure that investment portfolio is comprised of investments that we know exactly why they're in that portfolio and what they're supposed to do for your financial plan and for your goals. That is how you need to treat investing. Don't worry about what your neighbor's dog did. Worry about yourself, worry about your own plan, and make sure your investments are aligned with that plan. That's a most important piece.
Yeah, and it's not about whether or not you are taking risk or you're not taking risk. It's really about managing risk in your financial plan and where you're at in your life.
Yes. Very good, Corey. Very good. Well, thank you again, Corey, for joining me as always. And thank you all for tuning into Upticks. Please like, share, subscribe to our content. Our subscriber count continues to grow. And again, the whole purpose of Upticks is to enhance your financial literacy. So thank you for taking the time to tune in. And we hope all of you out there have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Upticks. Click the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes become available. Also, be sure to visit our website, falconwealthadvisors.com, and click the Contact Us button if you'd like to meet with Jake and his team.